People are finally talking about it. They're talking about women and how we act and how we behave. Because I think the men have had enough. And they're like, what do I have to lose now? I'm just going to say it. You're a problem, meaning us. And what's the matter with you? Well, that topic came up recently on an interview with Tucker and his guest, Nick. Highly controversial figure, has tons of opinions. We're going to look at his opinion about the women. And I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about it. Welcome back to Far From Eden. We're just going to jump right into it. Yeah, I'm just so glad someone is saying it this, taking it this far with the opinion. This stuff needs to be said.
Why aren't people married?
Well, I mean, honestly, it's the women. The women are extremely liberal. No one talks about that. They're increasingly they do, especially after the last election. There's a 45-point difference between men and women. The men are extremely conservative, increasingly. The women are extremely liberal.
What are they liberal on? What issues? Like, what does that mean, liberal?
Oh, they're very feminist.
Like, actually?
Extremely feminist, yes.
They don't believe that, do they?
How is Tucker so out of touch with that? Is it because he's older? Does some of these older conservative guys, well, I know I'm answering my own question because we've got Matt Walsh and Michael Knowles, and they're actually millennials. But I think when they're a little older than Nick and they're in a certain community or what have you, where a lot of people are married, they don't understand that they are the minority. That idea of marriage and family is so out of touch, is so out of reach for some of the young guys. So I'm happy that Nick came on to explain it to Tucker, because explaining it to Tucker means he's explaining it to a lot of Tucker's viewers who are clueless.
I think they do.
Really?
Absolutely,
How could
yes.
you believe that?
I
The
think
gender roles are a construct, that none of this is inborn? Like, you'd have to be an idiot to think that.
they like the idea of it. They like because of course I think all women naturally want strong men.
Of course, obviously.
They naturally want a Chad. You know,
Yeah.
they want like a tall, buff guy. But I think they like the idea of none of them want to work either. None of them
That's what
actually
I'm
want
saying.
to work.
No, that's what I'm saying. Of course. That's
Right.
It's obviously true. It's always been true. Work outside the home.
Right.
They don't have enough work at home. There's
Yes.
a lot to do. But no, I completely agree. So that's why I question, like, they're feminists in what sense?
Yes. And, they like these vague appeals to equality. We want a chance to work and we want respect. And, ultimately, I think the whole political system is just based around women never being accountable for any of their choices. Ultimately, that seems to be that's what abortion is.
Yeah, of course.
Because 99% of abortions are elective. So they say it's an unplanned pregnancy. You had sex out of wedlock with someone you didn't intend to have kids with. So now we have to kill the kids in the womb. And, these no-fault divorce laws. These women get married to guys maybe they never intend to stay with. And then when they're out, they're done. And they want child support and they want half the stuff. And I think a lot of men are looking at women and they're very liberal. They're overweight. They have a very high estimation of themselves. I think that people call it hoflation.
Hoflation?
Yes, their sense of their own looks and sexual value is very inflated. And so a lot of people are looking at these like frumpy, obnoxious, loudmouth, liberal women who are also very promiscuous and saying this is not actually appealing at all. And I don't want to start a family with a person
Sounds
like
awful.
this. Yeah, it is.
But if you believe in the patriarchy, as I fervently do, because it's just reality, we didn't choose the system. We were born into a system that is part of nature, can't get out of it. So if you believe that that's true, which it is, then you think that men should lead. And if it's going to be better, men should make it better.
It's so funny because I love his line there. We didn't choose the patriarchy. We were born into it. Because it's natural. It's the natural order. I think that is the best way to express it. We were all born into it because it is what it is.
That's their job.
Right.
So you don't want to give them a pass, do you? It'd be like, it's all the girls suck. So
I don't even blame it on the women, because I think that it's the incentive structures. You know, women are allowed to do this by the legal system, by kind of social norms. Technology is a big part of it. The attention that is available to women. Women go on Instagram and they get attention from thousands of men. So it's the incentives. But I would say that, because I hear this all the time, people say, well, the men need to step up and be better and lead the women. Easier said than done.
I agree with that.
They're at war with the system, and not even just the system, but also society. Because let's say you find one of these so-called good girls who's Christian and traditional, but through osmosis, wherever you go, she's going to be in society.
Exactly. That's the thing that some of these older guys, or even some younger guys who don't get it, and a lot of the men in the church are like, just find a good girl and get married. But what are her friends like? What is society telling her? If she's on social media, she's getting attention. That is going to poison her. And yes, we are responsible for our actions. The system is set up for our actions to be what they are. This system, it like Nick said, it incentivizes us. It propagandizes us and incentivizes us. If you let children have candy for dinner and stay up as late as they want, they will. And if you set all the candy out, you know what I mean? And you put cartoons on at 8 o'clock at night, what do you think they're going to do? And yes, I just likened us to children because, you know, it's a system that is tough. And I think a lot of people will say, yeah, okay, then what do we do about it? It's up to us. The women have to look at it and say, oh, I see I've been propagandized. We're the only ones that can turn it around because the state isn't going to, and men cannot because of the way everything's set up. So the only way is for us to do it. And that's why one by one, trying to explain this to women and show them what life is like for a man. And they don't have a choice. They don't say, oh, well, I don't know if I want to work, right? They have duties and responsibilities in this society, but we don't. And that's where it's wrong. It's not that men shouldn't have duties and responsibilities. It's that women need to live up to theirs. Having children, staying married, taking care of those children. I'm a big proponent of homeschooling. Like Tucker said, there's plenty of work to do in the home. There is, when you do it right. Being a stay-at-home mom is not just going out to lunch with all your friends and having a housekeeper and going out to eat. That's not what it's supposed to be. And you're also supposed to tend to your husband and treat him in a certain way. As we expect to be treated a certain way, it needs to go both ways. And the only ones who can do that are the female, sort of red pillar people in the manosphere, whatever you want to call us. So even if you see somebody you think is a grifter, she's still getting the message out. So if women can hear it, then, and we're the only ones that know how to really communicate it to them. You know what I mean? And the only ones they'll really listen to, because you guys are mean and you're the patriarchy.
Going to be on TikTok. She's going to be on Instagram. She's going to be talking to other women. And maybe she's one way when you meet and get married, but 10 years down the road, 15 years, 20 years down the road, people change. And I think that women as kind of the ultimate conformists, the ultimate enforcers of like social norms, I think eventually the pressure from society kind of gets to them. And a lot of them will go in a different
Depends what
direction.
kind of husbands they have. I mean, if there's real leadership at home, I don't know a single happily married woman who's liberal. Not one. I know a lot of married women. I mean, I'm 56. All the women I know are married. Mm-hmm. And every happily married woman is non-liberal. Mm-hmm. I can't even imagine. There's no category for happily married, middle-aged liberal woman.
Find me a happy liberal woman at all. Married, unmarried, any which way. Find me a truly happy liberal woman, a content liberal woman. I don't think they exist. I really don't, especially, as they get older and they don't have kids. There's so many people on TikTok, women on TikTok, that are like realizing, oh crap, I'm expired.
There hasn't never been one.
Right.
So like maybe the job is to, make a girl happy and like all this nonsense ends.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that could be a bottomless pit too, because the one critique I have of the men is, and you're right about this, they enable this behavior.
Well, that's for sure.
It's epidemic of simps who, and especially with Christians, I've noticed this. This is why Andrew Tate has so much appeal, and the Christians are kind of losing this conversation. Andrew Tate's a Muslim polygamist who is very chauvinistic, and you could even argue it as someone who has ran an OnlyFans site himself, like is not an observer, let's say, of Christian sexual morality.
No.
But men are going with him because he's putting women in their place. He's talking about patriarchy and women's place in a society like that. Whereas Christian men, Catholics, Protestants alike, are both kind of tone policing the men. And they worship their wives. They worship the women, put them on a pedestal. And they, they kind of get bossed around. They get henpecked by the women.
I think we're required to love our wives. Like that's, all over the New Testament.
This is my favorite part, because you guys, we are always talking about, what the men are like in the church. And Tucker's almost, it seems like, coming from that perspective. And Nick is going to explain it perfectly about why that perspective is wrong.
Husbands love your wives, wives respect your husbands. That seems like a very natural balance to me.
Yeah, and I think that you have to love your wife as your wife.
Yeah.
A lot of men...
As opposed to what? Your mom?
Well, no, like your buddy.
No.
Because I hear this all the time, and I hate this. Guys will say, I married my best friend. And I think, she's your wife. She's not your best friend. Because there's a difference.
What is the difference?
I think that when you talk about your best friend, you're a peer. You're an equal. And I think your best friendships are with other men. And I think that your wife ultimately is subordinate to you. She's your helpmate. Yeah. And ultimately, as the man in the marriage and as the father, you have authority, the final say over the household.
Well,
and she can give advice. It's not to say I'm not a freak where you say, shut up, woman. Of course, you discuss things with your wife and your wife gives input, but the authority rests with the man.
Of course. But God set up this kind of amazing system where men are physically stronger.
Mm-hmm.
So like, of course, you could make your wife do whatever you wanted. You're bigger than she is.
Right.
But he also instilled in men this desire to please your wife. Like that's a very natural thing. You want your wife to be happy.
Absolutely.
And the whole happy wife, happy life thing is completely real. It's like you can't get away from it. It's not like all of these things. It's not a choice.
If Tucker is saying, and I'm not saying I agree with this because I don't know, it's you guys, but if that's the man's nature, that he wants her to be happy and he wants to make her happy. And I think men are that way because I think that's a kindness in them. And a lot of people say simp. I think that's a simp if you're sort of like begging, pleading, and there's nothing in return. You're like begging for someone to treat you well, to give you a glance. Shouldn't be that way. We need to step up and begin to try to deserve a man's love and his caretaking. And a lot of women don't realize, it's insane that they don't realize it, that you guys are bigger than and stronger than we are. It's just natural. And so, yeah, that's the proof of the nature of man. Because if you wanted to, you could make this like Iran. You could make this like, the Taliban. And you don't. So it completely disproves the evil patriarchy. The Christian patriarchy is benevolent and excellent for society. History shows that. It shouldn't It shouldn't be controversial. The fact that it is controversial, the fact that what Nick is saying is like, oh, that shows us how far we've fallen, how far from Eden we are.
It's the biological reality that you live with, that you were born with. Like, you want your wife to be happy. And if she's unhappy, you're unhappy to a much greater extent than vice versa, right?
Yeah.
I think men care about their wives being happy much more than wives care about their husbands being happy.
Yes.
I have noticed. And that's compensation for their lack of physical power. That's my view of it. And that's why it is this kind of perfect balance. But somebody needs to be the final decision maker. I completely agree. And when you give up that, when you abrogate that, there's no respect, there's unhappiness, and then there's infidelity.
Right. Well, that's the ingredient that's missing. The way I would put it very succinctly is men right now are the responsible party, but have no authority. And that doesn't work.
No, it doesn't.
You know, if the buck stops with you and you're to blame and you're the responsible one, then you also need to be able to have the final say and call the shots. And one without the other doesn't work. And I think think that's really smart and absolutely right. I do think, I just noticed this, that men who stay unmarried for too long become like kind of fragile. There's something about the give and take. There's something about living with, in fact, I think it's the key to life, someone you don't fully understand that broadens you, that keeps you always thinking, that makes you wiser, more patient, more thoughtful, more self-aware, and more flexible. And those are all good qualities. And the absence of that, like in homosexuality or like men who are single too long, they get very rigid. Have you ever noticed this? Like, I like things the way I like them, and they just get like, no. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I certainly get what you mean by that.
Yeah, you don't want that.
Yeah. I would say that when you say you don't fully understand women, to me, I feel like women are very simple in terms of...
Have you ever lived with one?
No, I haven't lived with them, but I mean, and don't get me wrong, maybe it's difficult, but I feel like they're pretty simple.
We're all pretty simple. I mean, no one's more simple than I am, but yeah, we're all pretty simple. But what I mean is, like, on a day-to-day, on the level of experience, like, you don't always understand what they're saying.
I will say this. We make things complicated that aren't. So understanding that, it's funny to me because it seems like Nick understands us more, and he's single and celibate. Maybe that's why he understands us more, because he sees it from a distance. But we make things complicated. We're actually not complicated. Once you can just observe us, not get sucked into the complicated drama that we blow up, then we actually are pretty simple. If we're like upset, give us food. I mean, and we also, I think we do better with an authority figure, but it's difficult for you guys to be our authority figure because you're not allowed to yell at us. You're not allowed to put us in our place, etc., because we are programmed to say that's abuse. So, but it's my thinking that it's what we actually need, and it actually makes us happier. It's kind of an extreme, but did you notice how popular the books and movies of 50 Shades of Grey were? And she got her punishments. That might be an extreme example, but there's something about it, something about that authority that women actually find attractive. I think it's because if we think we can run all over you, then how are you going to protect us? I think that's the wiring that we naturally have. I think that's why we do the testing of you, the beep testing of you. And it's not okay. If we do that, you should be able to shut it down. But society and the law tells you, no, it's basically illegal. It's awful. It sets us all up for failure.
Because it's never about what they say it's about.
Right.
And men are just tend to be kind of dog-like in their straightforwardness. I'm hungry, I'm horny, whatever it is.
I disagree. I feel like men are complicated. I feel like women are like, I'm hungry, I'm horny. I feel like men are very complicated.
Really, how?
Because men are masters of the universe. Women are the universe. This is what Spengler says about them. And
wow.
So I think that men have like a deep connection to things like math and space, and they want to conquer the world.
Of course.
And, things like this. And women, I feel like, are actually very primal and instinctual.
Yes.
They want security.
Earthier.
Yes. Chthonic. They're of the
100%. Never embarrassed by bodily functions. Men are so squeamish.
Yes.
Women are not at all. They give birth.
We're supposed to take care of the little babies, and they have things coming out of them all the time. And we're supposed to take care of you guys when you cut yourselves or whatever, unless you have to go to the hospital. But back in the day, there were no hospitals. Who's going to tend to all of this stuff? Us. And, smells and stuff like that, naturally, it doesn't affect us the way it affects you. But if we had to be in war and see that kind of gore, it's the other way around. Or like hunting and stuff like that. We are averse to that. It's clear we are literally wired for our own jobs.
Earth. No, that is absolutely true. But I mean, in the way that women present their concerns, there's almost always something that's not being fully expressed. Like, I got mad at you last night because I was pissed about something last year. That's not a male thing to do. You can't remember what happened last year.
Right.
Manipulation. If he thinks we're complicated, it's because of that. It's because of when we do the manipulation. And that's what that is. Remembering something from last year, whatever, because it's going to help us put you in your place now or get us out of whatever we're doing now. That's not complicated. That's just knock it off. Knock it off, woman. That's a joke, YouTube. This is all comedy.
Right. And so, but whatever the point, men and women talk past each other constantly.
Mm-hmm.
They don't always know what the other one is saying. And that frustration actually gives way to like great beauty over time, I would say.
I don't know. I personally find women very frustrating when they are not expressing. And I just view that as
the beauty of it.
I see the way I look at it is like when you look at your favorite TV shows,
right?
The Sopranos, Breaking Bad, it's like the wife is the villain because it's like the main character, if the wife could just get out of the way, would be running the show.
That is today summarized. If we could get out of the way and let you guys run the show, society would look so much different. The family would look so much different. Government would be so much different. The whole entire world would be so much different. In my humble opinion, if we could just do our thing that we do very well, this is hilarious right now, but keep the morality in check. Be aware of who's in need, this, that, and the other, and not delegate it to the government that does not care about us at all. We should leave it up to the men to manage all this. Everything would be better. And by the way, if you're enjoying this content, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I really appreciate all the new subscribers. Kind of wonder if we can get to, 75K subscribers, maybe. I don't know. It's up to you. If you like what I'm doing, then it'll happen. Anyway, let's get back into it.
And that's kind of how I feel like Ayn Rand, I agree with her about this. She said that the wife's role is like hero worship. The guy is the hero. The guy is supposed to be the entrepreneur, the conqueror, whatever. And the woman is really supposed to support the man's goals and be in his world. And
that's the last thing successful men need is more power worship, more hero worship, more, you're so great. Well, you get that at work. You don't want that at home.
They don't get that at work. Tucker. I know the men he's thinking of, but come on, Tucker. Most men don't get that at work at all. They need to get it at home. I think, from their woman. I don't know if he thinks that the woman's job is to keep the man in check because he's getting his brain inflated at work. That's probably a very small percentage of men that have that kind of a work experience. And even then, like right now, Tucker, after this interview, you're taking a lot of heat. So don't you think that his wife should be encouraging him, telling him, you're doing the right thing, you're having these difficult conversations, I'm proud of you, it's very brave, etc.? Because I just don't think that men are just getting worshipped at work. You guys let me know. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if Tucker's right. I don't think you're going to tell me Tucker's right.
You become an unbearable asshole, and then you fall prey to what destroys every successful man, which is hubris. Like, you mistake yourself for God. You need someone who's not interested in what you do at all, only interested in you. And that's how you become balanced and wise. That's how you know your own limits. Yeah,
you don't worship him as the woman. You don't worship the man for his job. And I think that's what's going on right now. It's like, oh, I'm with a pilot. I always say pilot because that's just one of those, occupations that women are just like proud to say that's, or my husband's in finance or whatever. My boyfriend's on Wall Street. That's not what you're supposed to appreciate about the man. You're supposed to appreciate him, who he is, how he thinks, what his worldview is, his hobbies, him, not all that other stuff. You have to remind him he's him. He's not that executive. He's not that bus driver. He's not that janitor. He's him. He's your husband. He's the father of your children. I think, and it's not about keeping him in check. It's a grounding, not a humbling. It's a reminder of what's truly important. And I know I'm speaking Greek because we are so far away from that. You guys are like, what are you talking about? What woman is going to act like that? I know. But I'm saying what we should do. And honestly, you're happier as a woman when you have that appreciation of the man and you appreciate him for who he is and you're grateful. That is what makes you happy. That is how your husband makes you happy, because he's him. His existence makes you happy. Women can understand this as, their BFF. They just appreciate that we're born. We need to look at our husbands like that, but times 100, times 1,000,000. And you can see that the older generations, it's hard for them to break free from that matrix of happy wife, happy life, and serving her in dodging the, when she's unhappy, because they were never taught to expect anything. They were never taught to actually expect anything. And they were very much taught we are sugar and spice and all things nice. And they operate from that. And I know you guys will say it's very easy for Tucker to say this. He's very successful. He's very wealthy. And so we don't know if his wife would stay if he wasn't as wealthy, or if he became disabled or something like that. We don't know. And that's the risk. And men are very aware of that risk. And that's good. I want you to be aware of that risk. And I want the women to know that men are like, you're risky, because that'll help us fix ourselves.
Because the ass kissing is what kills you. It's not, you had someone come to murder you at home. It doesn't seem to have affected you that much.
And if I were married, dude, she would never let me hear the end of it.
Well, that's probably true, but that's not what destroys men. It's not adversity that destroys men. It's comfort and flattery that destroys men. Right? That's what happened to King David. It's what happens to them all.
Yeah.
You're so great. You can never go wrong.
I just feel like we have I don't feel like we have an abundance of affection from women.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like in terms of where the pendulum is at, I feel like the women are very unloving to the men. That's why like they don't cook. Because that's like the best way to express a love for a man. I said this on my show the other night. I'm like, the most beautiful words a woman could say is like, I made you dinner. I made you cookies.
Yeah.
And women don't understand how that truly makes a man feel, because by and large, we don't care. And that's the heartbreaking thing. But that's the thing that Nick understands.
That is like an act of love. And I think that, you know, speaking as maybe from a different generation, the way that men feel now is like, you know, women are not really providing too much. They expect so much from the men. They want the man to be rich and provide.
Yeah.
They want the man to be fit and a real leader and a real man. They also want to split the chores with the man. They want the man to do half the laundry and half the dishes and things like that. And it's like, so what do you do all day? You're on TikTok, you're like doom scrolling and eating Cheetos. Like what actually are you providing in the relationship? So I just feel like in terms of the deficit, it's like women are very emboldened. They're too, I think, assertive, always giving their opinions, always critiquing, always, you know, I think that they're very bold right now. And I think, and sarcastic, I think that's a big reason why they're not very attractive.
I get it. All I would say is that in a happy marriage, all of that goes away. There's no arguing about who does what. People fall seamlessly into the roles they were born into. They acknowledge those, are not insecure about it at all.
I bet he has a housekeeper. I don't know. Tucker, you're not getting it. But at least he platformed Nick, so Nick could say his perspective.
They express love in a whole bunch of different ways by serving each other. It's like super easy. And all of that, obnoxious, entitled, you don't make enough money, all that crap just disappears.
Tucker's like, yeah, it disappears. The wife doesn't tell me that I don't make enough money. Yes, because you're a multimillionaire. So it's difficult for you to understand that that is not the world that men are living in. Men absolutely need encouragement. I don't think it's rear end kissing at all. And I think that we all need somebody to really believe in us. And that's something that a woman can be good at, but we're just not doing it. We're putting it all into ourselves. I'm working on myself right now. And we're not happy. You know, it'd be different. Well, not to me, but it'd be different if it was like, well, this is working out so well. But it's not. So at least we have the chance now, for however long they're letting us, to say that we like the patriarchy. Some of us are quite happy with those roles. And we're not forcing anybody. We're not saying there should be a law, but we should be allowed to say, this is how it should be. And it doesn't mean anybody hates anybody. It doesn't. And saying that you're unequal, you know, in a marriage doesn't mean that one person is better than the other. It means that duties, responsibilities, authority, all that sort of thing has to be balanced in some way for it to work. And you can't have two captains of a ship. You can't have two captains of an airplane. You have to have the leader. But it doesn't in any way mean that the other party isn't extremely important. It has nothing to do with importance. Being unequal in a marriage has nothing to do with which one's more important. That's another lie that we've been fed. That you guys are just power hungry and you want to dominate us and all that. And it's just not true. Where do you see that? You don't. Movies? Well, I'm trying to wake us up. I'm trying to show women another way to think. And I hope that women who do think like me will speak up, because it's the only way to turn anything around. So on that note, don't forget to protect your peace, feed your souls. I love you guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.